I'm attempting something that has never been done before in The Last of Us. But epic, there are plenty of melee-only challenges out there, and you're not wrong. But today, I'm beating The Last of Us Part 1, knife only, as Ellie. Okay, I just said knife only, put that away. I'm using a mod for this, which I'll link below. And the main thing this changes is just that, well, I play the whole game as Ellie. Yeah, dude, no shit. So basically, I have to beat the whole game knife only. Sure, there are a few scripted sections where the game forces me to shoot, but I want to make it through every other section on the hardest difficulty in the game, grounded, with nothing but my knife. Which is kind of a lie, because Ellie's knife in the game is a little weird. I mean, it's literally invisible, and so is she sometimes, but that's not important right now. If I use stealth, I can get quick kills, but I do need bricks and bottles to stab enemies. I can kind of punch and slash at enemies, and it does work sometimes to kill them, but often Ellie just gets beat up because, like this video, these enemies slap. Ellie came home, and look how thrilled she was to start this challenge. And to boost morale even more, Sarah gave Ellie a birthday gift.
You kept complaining about your broken watch. You like it?
It's the biggest piece of dog shit.
She somehow carried Sarah, who is nearly her size, and then I got to play as Sarah and watch Tommy talk to himself while running over this poor girl, which was probably not an accident because he did it like 3 times. I was traumatized, and so was Ellie. Oh, and Sarah's there too. And after some trauma, we made it 20 years later and were met with the Void, aka Boston. Ellie's fake ID wasn't very convincing, so we had to make a run for it. Ellie ate this bandage, and then we went to this underground tunnel where I got my inventory. Since I was doing a knife-only challenge, the first thing I did was waste my bullets. I saw this guy dying in a building, and he begged for someone to shoot him, but sadly I had just wasted my bullets, so I couldn't even do that. Oh look, more bullets. Let's go waste them. Anyway, sorry, fresh out of ammo. The first few infected I took out pretty easily, but this was barely even a warm-up. This little girl outside had a giraffe stuffed animal that I wanted, but she refused to give it to me, so I doomed Boston once again to become the Void. I had to fight off a couple of Robert's men, and after Ellie went directly into the open, I tried waiting for Tess to kill them, which she didn't. So I just straight up punched this guy to death, and Tess finally killed the other.
Nicely done, Texas.
This ain't Texas.
In the next area, I was met with some Resident Evil style camera angles, but the game kinda glitched, so I had to restart the checkpoint and redo it to continue. The first few areas with Robert's men weren't that crazy, though I did need some bricks and bottles to clear them all out. Again, this was mostly a warm-up, but it felt good to just obliterate these guys. I met Robert and got to shake his hand before Marlene took us to get our guns back, which we don't even need for this challenge because it's a knife-only playthrough, so the entire plot is actually a waste of time. After some more kills, I got to meet Joel, who was extremely sassy.
And I'm 14.
14 years from the retirement home maybe, but come on, man. And while talking to him, I discovered it was almost impossible for Ellie to break windows by punching them. But luckily I needed to waste some ammo anyway. Challenge failed, but worth it. Joel decided to sit out in the rain, and Ellie was trapped on this couch before teleporting in this elevator down to, you guessed it, the Void. We had to escape these soldiers, and I killed this one back here for good luck before heading out on my way. Also worth noting, this section's the first area where you can really scavenge, but scavenging in this game is actually useless because the mod doesn't let me use my backpack to craft, and any inventory items I pick up aren't saved. The inventory basically never updates, and on restarting a checkpoint, it'll either revert to the initial inventory or whatever inventory was last saved, which it only gets saved when playing the game regularly as Joel. This is kind of an issue with the mod, but it's actually great for this challenge, so I can have an empty inventory for most of the game. We made it to downtown, and inside the tilted building, I made a new friend, and then got dropped into this room with more infected. I was able to take them all down with stealth without really even needing any bricks or bottles. The lower subway part of this section had a ton of clickers, which would instantly kill me when I fought them head on, unless... I've actually never seen Tess do this, but she weakened him up enough for me to finish him off. We made it to the museum.
You got something on your shoe.
No I don't. And I took some clickers out before heading to this room full of infected. Tess somehow got bit, despite literally going rocky on this clicker earlier, and sacrificed herself so Joel and I could escape.
This was 3 weeks, and it's already worse.
These soldiers were way too tryhard for me, so I got a couple of kills and avoided them down to the subway. Joel and Ellie both decided no masks, even though only one of them is famously immune, but whatever. Ellie very awkwardly did this T-pose swimming and struggled to grab this wooden pallet, which is actually something I struggled with for the entire game.
Firmly grasp it in your hand.
Firmly grasp it!
And I later realized I needed to press the shift button, but that's on me for not reading. Eventually I pushed it to Joel so he could hop on and cross the water. We made it out, and then it was on to Bill's town. And this was specifically designed to ruin my challenge. I said hi to the friendly clicker and climbed onto the roof where Ellie was too short to move a plank. So I had to briefly remove the mod and switch back to Joel so I could move it. Since the inventory only updated when I played as Joel, I did use this to waste the rest of my ammo so I could play the rest of the game with 0 bullets at all times. Well, that is until Bill's trap. As a viewer pointed out, this was actually really easy. I just needed to load my gun with knives instead of bullets and I could beat it with ease. Yeah, just kidding, obviously I had to shoot. But this section is unavoidable on every playthrough, and if I didn't shoot, Joel would just die on a loop. Though I did find a video by the speedrunner Matt on how to glitch through this wall before the trap, so technically it's skippable, but I couldn't pull it off, and I wanted to do this playthrough without glitches, so I'll still count it. We met Bill, who Joel gave a very friendly greeting, and we got to play some chess.
Don't touch anything on that board!
Didn't ask. Knight to e5. I tried to give this runner a tasty snack so she could at least die full, and then Bill executed it. This nearby parking lot was full of bottles to take out the infected, and then Bill took us to church for some light reading material.
This is a nail bomb. This thing blows.
Agreed, Bill. This thing sucks. Knife only forever. I showed Joel some burning bodies for good luck, and this graveyard full of clickers were hyper aware of me, but I slashed through them anyway. I got to kill most of these backyard infected, and then I sent Joel through the doggy door since he was being a little bit. Anyway, I killed all the clickers in this house, and then I got to go back to high school. There were no bricks or bottles outside here, so I got 1 kill and then let Bill do most of the work. As long as I got runners close to Bill, he would just machete them. I was glad he was joining in on the challenge as well, even though he did cheat and use his revolver too. We made it inside, found our truck was stripped, and rushed over to this hallway full of infected. The hallway had more bricks and bottles, so even though I messed up stealth, I still cleared out all the infected, and that led me to the bloater, which you can't kill without guns or equipment. Or so I thought. I tried punching it for a little while but got nowhere and had to resort to the pistol as I initially assumed. Except, someone sent me this video from old Jurston where he clearly punched a bloater to death in part 1. The problem was his strategy used a constant barrage of smoke bombs to stun the bloater, which was against the rules of my challenge, but even if I wanted to craft them, I couldn't. And of course, this game has no dodge button, unlike in part 2. So all I could rely on was the bloater pausing to rip off spores, or the bloater charging into walls. Otherwise, if I hit the bloater would hit back and win.
Falcon punch!
When doing a test with invincibility on, this took somewhere from 70 to 90 slashes on grounded, but sure enough, it was possible to kill the bloater this way. I just had no indicator of how close I was to killing it. So after getting well past this section, I guess I should go back and finish the challenge. I circled back to go kill the first bloater, and naively, I thought this wouldn't be that bad. The gym bloater I'm starting with is not as bad, so hopefully it shouldn't take as long, but it ended up taking nearly 3 hours, all of which you can find on my channel. This bloater charged a ton, which made me think this wouldn't take that long, and my final attempt only took about 20 minutes, but it took me so many tries, and many of them I blamed on Bill, because either a runner grabbed him and I had to save him, or he just straight up died and ruined the run. Somehow, this was Bill's fault too. I mean, even the bloater I was trying to kill ended up saving me more times than Bill. On one attempt, I even got 69 hits, just short of the 70-something required to kill the bloater, and then I died. What? I began to doubt if I could even pull it off, and then I declared my last run of the night. I'm gonna do one final attempt, which ended up being the one where I finally killed the bloater. Oh, and once this bloater was dead, these last 3 runners were a pain to deal with because the gym had no bricks or bottles, so I had to rely on luck and Bill's pistol to clear them. Bill and Joel pretended to pull me up and then promptly abandoned me in the gym, so I had to restart before running out and meeting Frank. Don't worry guys, he's off screen smiling, having a good time. I pushed this truck out of the garage and immediately had to take on infected. There were a few bricks and bottles on the road along this section, but I mostly had to rely on Bill to get a bunch of kills. He really didn't want to kill this one clicker here, but eventually I stabbed it myself, and after clearing the infected, it was on to Pittsburgh in this self-driving car. Wait, this isn't self-driving. Pittsburgh was a blast, and by that I mean I was constantly getting blasted with guns because oh my god, there were a ton of enemies here, but I still set out to kill a majority of them. Luckily, Ellie had plot armor for this immediate slam into sharp glass and just simply ignored it. I saved Joel by mashing this grown man's jaw into a counter, and this first area had plenty of bricks and bottles, so I could use them to combo the whole group pretty easily. I decided next to take out these few hunters climbing over this bus, so Joel could get his joke book out, but he put it away before even getting to one punchline. He may not land any jokes, but he can definitely land a punch. This took me to the bookstore, which had at least a dozen guys here, but the game gave me several checkpoints, so at least I didn't need to clear it all out in one take. Still, these guys had the craziest beef with a literal teenager. There were bottles scattered all around here, so I could pretty much kill all the enemies with those, or by sneaking up on them, since there were also plenty of things to hide behind. And once I finally cleared out the bookstore, Joel had his joke book ready to go.
We need to lighten the mood.
What does a pirate say while eating sushi?
I don't know what.
I'm eating sushi. Oh man, that made me hungry. A backwards poet writes backwards.
Man, these are some really good jokes. After this, I had to move a pallet for Joel to get across water so we could cut through the hotel. And of course, Joel had to keep his manicured nails drier than my sense of humor. Inside the hotel, the first floor of guys once again charged at me, and it was personal. But the amount of places to lose them and hide until a stealth kill was possible, combined with bricks and bottles, meant I could make my way through this pretty clean. And then came the elevator, which Ellie glitched through and fell to the basement. More T-pose swimming later, I had to come to the bloater and all these stalkers, which actually weren't that bad. Until I ran out of bottles. Oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god. I snatched this fake ID, powered up the generator, and got the hell out of the basement. The next group of guys upstairs was easy to take out, and I was pretty surprised. Except for this one guy who kicked me in the face, until Joel made a gun levitate and killed him. And Ellie got pissed because Joel wasn't allowed to do magic. So I trotted ahead, played Joel a nice song. Okay, let's play something new. Ellie, that's the same song. And we made our way to the financial district. Okay, Joel, here's a gun. Now I want you to be as useful as possible, just like Tess and Bill, who couldn't hit a thing. So this next section took forever, because the game gave me very few checkpoints, and these guys were ruthless. Meanwhile, Joel was not. He got a few kills to help me out, but he really took his time getting hits. Which, yeah, okay. On top of that, I only had a few bricks and bottles, so I needed as much stealth as possible. I also discovered that for some reason, the guys holding shotguns were kind of slow to melee, so sometimes I could just punch them out, and they didn't land a single hit on me. Ellie even body slammed this one guy, twice. After an absurdly long time, I did finally clear this section with more than a few deaths, but hey, we made it and kept moving forward. Once I finally cleared the financial district, it was time for the armored car, which was even more fun, except I kinda just ran around it. Oh, also this street with a bunch of enemies I had to kill was pretty easy just because there were so many bricks and bottles. I wrestled Henry, who took a dive, and then we went to the toy store. Yeah, I see you, Joel. This first area with Sam and Henry had precisely 0 bricks and bottles, and I couldn't remain in stealth after I got a kill, so it took a while, and Henry did not help until this top section. Obligatory age check.
How old are you?
Me? 14.
Oh, you're 14, huh?
Joel, you are not 14. Joel sunk into the couch while the grown-ups talked, and we had to sneak out of this gate. And once again, there were no bricks in this section. I could kill the first guy easily, but beyond that, I always got seen when I killed the second guy close to this light. And then a big group of enemies would also drop down. I had to be careful and basically keep going back to stealth because Henry decided to be completely useless here. Wow, really, Henry? I didn't notice. Thanks for helping. After many failed attempts, we got through the gate and made it to this bar where I was able to smash bottles on these guys and make my way through before diving off this bridge into the river. Ellie was pissed and tried to intimidate Henry by floating above him and using telekinesis on this gun. And I walked over to this boat, which brought back some interesting memories from the second game. But then I went into the sewers and came to the hardest part. Grabbing this pallet. Getting Ellie just to grab this took so many tries. She would just sort of float there, waiting for nothing. This was actually my fault because I didn't read the mod instructions, by the way. After a few minutes, I grabbed it and could continue. And the sewers were baby mode. This first group, my allies helped out for once, and then once I got separated with Sam, I mostly just ran right by everything, and Sam came in clutch with this bottle throw. We ran upstairs, and Joel immediately abandoned the children. Nice job, Joel. I just ran circles around these infected for a minute and snuck out. In the suburbs, I found Joel in the attic and then had to run to the sniper, which, yeah, there's no way I can get around this. Because if I don't shoot, my allies die. Technically, I didn't have to shoot any of the infected at the end, but I absolutely had to shoot some of these hunters going for my friends. And of course, one of the clickers trying to grab Sam and Henry. Also, wow, look at that form. The next day, Sam slept in a little late, so So Joel and I continued, and I'm sure we'd meet up later and nothing bad would happen here. But something bad did happen soon after this moment, and it was called Tommy's Dam. This chapter was so painful for a multitude of reasons. Of course, starting with this pallet that once again Ellie just wouldn't grab. And of course, this weak high five that just awkwardly hit Joel's bicep. A closed gate? Let's just knock and see if anyone's there.
What's the pattern?
We met Tommy and Maria. This lady gave me a creepy look, and Tommy gave me a gift. Oh wow, Tommy, this looks great. We jumped into the action against these bandits where the first room took me way more tries than it should have. I had just enough bricks to get by, but my allies constantly just did nothing. They stood there missing every single shot and couldn't even hit this one guy standing still with his head peeking out.
You lay your hands on me again, it won't end well for you.
Well, judging by how your guys can't hit a thing, I think I'll be okay. Once I killed a few guys with bricks, the guys at the top of the stairs always wanted to kill me, and they succeeded. Many times. But eventually, I got through. The 14-year-old girl did most of the work, and Tommy and his men finally did something on the bridge here. I had to be very patient, but they did it.
That's all, those sons of...
And after I waited forever for them to kill these first two guys inside, they decided to be completely useless. The last three guys in this room, they just wouldn't kill. So I very carefully had to run out, get a single kill, and run back without getting shot. This took a lot of patience, and finally when there was one guy left, my allies actually decided to be useful. And don't worry, this was just the beginning of my suffering. A second ambush was ahead on this trail, and there were no bricks or bottles in this entire encounter. After about an hour of this, I had to pause. Basically, the first shotgun guy would run up, I would stab him, and sometimes get hit, but after that, Tommy was useless. Tommy, please, I'm begging you to do literally anything instead of let this 14-year-old girl carry you. On very rare occasions, he got one kill, which was exactly what I needed, but most of the time, he just shot at nothing and stayed in cover. The problem was that there were 7 enemies here, and unless I killed a few of them, they knew exactly where I was. Oh, and there were also no checkpoints. Being in stealth was kind of necessary to get kills here since I had no bricks or bottles, and I didn't have a good consistent strategy just because there were so many angles for enemies to shoot me, so this would require a ton of patience and luck. I paused and thought that coming back a day later would make me beat this on my first few tries, as is often the case with encounters like this, but it still took me a solid 45 minutes. And in that time, the Molotov guy even took pity and killed someone for me, still doing more work than Tommy, but I still died. Somehow, I managed to get it down to just 2 enemies left, and I was super nervous, knowing if I died, I would have to do the whole thing all over. But I managed to kill them both, and we continued on our way.
What are you so afraid of?
Tommy!
No, he can't fight. Let me whack him again for you. I had to clear out this house, but I was able to do most of it in stealth, and I got a checkpoint, so it wasn't that bad. The university was up next, and Joel, that is absolutely not how you ride a horse. He kind of fixed himself when we went over this jump, but yeah, I'll have to teach him how to ride later. This chapter was actually a breeze compared to Tommy's Dam because stealth killing this group of runners was simple. Then I came to a group of clickers, which I also stealth killed with ease, but I left the bloater behind.
You're looking for the fireflies. They've all...
Dude, I am not listening to your 10-hour podcast. We found out the Fireflies were in Salt Lake City, and again, how do so many people have beef with Ellie? Even though the last part of this chapter has been kinda hard in past playthroughs, it wasn't too bad for this one, because the area was loaded with bricks and bottles. So I didn't even run past these guys. I actually killed every single one of them, and still had bricks to spare. Wow, what a nice railing. I sure hope nothing bad happens here. Anyway, after falling, Ellie possessed Joel's upper body here, and I had to use my gun. Yay. If I didn't, I got obliterated by this guy rushing in, so unfortunately, I had to cave and shoot a bullet. Luckily, that was the only bullet I fired here, as Ellie sat in the open for this shotgun guy, then fell down some stairs on the way out of the building. Ellie was down, Joel still didn't know how to ride a horse, but luckily, I had the most adorable bunny to comfort me. It was all going to be okay. Just not for him. Winter was tough. The first part is Ellie basically played the same as the game normally, so of course, I had to shoot the deer with the bow and arrow. Again, I hate these scripted moments, but there was nothing I could do except complain about it. I got to David, and that was when the fun started.
What's your name?
My name is Skylar White-Yo.
I knew this first part would be brutal, and it was. The first room was tiny, had no bricks or bottles, no cover, and I basically had to just run in circles. Luckily for me, David is probably the best companion in the game.
No. Wait. Wait.
Okay, well, no, not in character. but in terms of being useful in combat, he was extremely useful. He could pretty consistently punch out runners, which was largely because we were in a small room, and allies tended to be more useful at hand-to-hand combat. So being forced next to enemies made him great. He was not great at shooting and had trouble killing clickers. The room filled up pretty quickly if David wasn't killing runners, so my strategy was to lure the clickers to me as I ran around the room and let David kill all the runners before killing the clicker last. This mostly worked, but the sheer amount of runners meant I constantly got slapped by one or straight up grabbed and eaten. I had to persevere for a while, but eventually this worked and we killed all the infected before running off. Oh, and a clicker burst through this barricade at the top of the stairs, so I had to stab it before continuing, and somehow it slapped me. After making it to the elevator shaft, I was already exhausted, but it would only get worse from here. Why? The bloater.
I got you for 3 minutes! 3 minutes of heat time!
Initially I skipped this fight, but after killing the bloater in Bill's town, I came back to this one. The problem was that this bloater loved to throw acid spores and rarely charged compared to the gym bloater in Bill's town. The layout of the room also wasn't ideal for the bloater to charge, so I knew this would take hours, and even on my successful attempt, it would probably take over an hour of not dying. Later, it was a new day. I woke up, got coffee, and settled in for the fight of my life. It would take over 70 hits on the bloater before I could kill it, and I got off to a pretty good start. The problem was that the bloater wouldn't charge. I very slowly got some hits in, even though it sometimes took about 5 minutes before the bloater charged. I built my number up and kept count. Every time I barely got 1 or 2 stabs in, but I made it work by running around and waiting for the bloater to be stunned. But this time the bloater wasn't stunned long enough on the staircase and he quickly slapped me. I spent over an hour on this one attempt and got pretty discouraged, so I decided to just come back after beating the game. After the first bloater took me nearly 3 hours, and the last time I fought the winter bloater it took over an hour in one attempt, I was terrified of doing this again. I braced myself and prepared to spend hours on this one fight, but ultimately it actually took less time than the gym bloater.
Someone cooked here.
I don't know how I didn't think of this before, but basically I was doing my old strat of trying to get the bloater to charge, and while running, the bloater followed me by climbing up this ledge instead of taking the stairs. I was able to stab it, and then I realized I could just use this ledge, make the bloater continuously climb up and drop down, and every single time he did that, I could get 1 hit. So I just needed to do this about 70 more times, and I would kill the bloater very easily. And that's actually exactly what happened. This only took about 15 minutes instead of the over 1 hour time my previous attempt took. The complete opposite of the gym bloater because I thought that one would be easy and this one would be hard, but I'm happy that worked out. The rest of winter was mostly fine. First, Ellie had to give herself a shot, and then I got to run over some guys with my horse. And after Callus got shot, I took revenge on all of these guys. David fed me deer meat.
It's deer.
Maybe I should have been more pacifist. I could be eating like this guy right now. And other Ellie glitched a little, but I was able to make it to the interrogation scene with a couple of kills. Ellie tried to take a bite of David, but settled for a slice of James, and then I was off into the storm. I killed the guys in this blizzard, and I beat David in the fight. Well, kinda. Switching back to Ellie, and the game crashed. I had to remove the mod and get to the next checkpoint as Joel, but then I switched back to Ellie. And why does the lack of arms look like she's about to play Wii Sports? Oh, maybe not that one. Even with her partial invisibility, I was still able to take out all of the guys by this gas station, except this one guy up top with a rifle. Finishing winter wasn't bad after the first few encounters, and I knew the Salt Lake City section leading up to the hospital would be pretty easy. After all, it's just this one tunnel I needed to sneak through, right? Well, Joel tried to assassinate me with this ladder, but we got to my favorite part of the game. And after Joel reached his hand inside this giraffe to be permanently banned from any petting zoos, we made it to the roof for some peace and quiet. Also, I sat here for like 3 minutes to eat, but it was calm. The tunnel part of this chapter would be a battle, but I was pretty sure I could sneak through, and I was right. I actually just needed a couple of kills, and even though it was tense, I made it all the way past. I T-posed, swam a bit more, and lifted Joel over this gate, and there was a clicker. I had a bottle, but I missed, and with the way this mod works, I no longer had a bottle or any ammo, so I needed to backtrack and try again for a new bottle. I missed again, and even on one attempt, ended up killing all the infected in the tunnel, but no matter what I did, this clicker couldn't be killed with a brick or bottle. Stunning it did nothing, and poor Joel was helpless. Now, normally at this point in the game, there's some revolver ammo right here, so you don't get soft locked, but the problem was that I didn't have the revolver in my inventory, so I couldn't even pick up revolver ammo. Also, the tunnel and the triage had no bullets. Well, guess there's only one way out now. But really, I had to go back to Winter, remove the mod and get 2 bullets as Joel, so they would be saved in my inventory later on, and then as Ellie, I could shoot this clicker, which still ruined the challenge, but I literally wasted a good hour of time just trying to get past this one gated clicker with any method possible. So yeah, this is a fail for the challenge, but eventually I got past it. We made our way through the rest of the tunnel. Joel literally died for a minute, and Ellie Tipo swam with him back to the surface where she was hit so hard she woke up in the hospital. She shot this guy in an unfortunate area based on the camera angle, and I got to work in the hospital, which I had played so many times running through, so I knew it would be easy, and I was very wrong. At first, I wanted to be aggressive and kill everyone here, but even after a few kills, the guys were all so bunched together, it was near impossible. After many tries, I got past the first group, and these hallway guys always stopped to look for me instead of running past like they're supposed to. But eventually I got past, and I threw a brick at this last guy to make it through the first level. This took a lot of deaths, but the top floor somehow managed to be much worse. The final room had about 8 guys in it total, all with armor and powerful weapons. The problem here was the 2 guys camped by the final door, who I needed to kill, but I struggled to even get them out of their hiding spot. On top of how hard this section was, I forgot to mention when I switched to Joel, not only was my inventory saved, but the amount of health I had was also saved. Instead of starting every checkpoint at full health, I was basically 1 hit from death, so if I took any damage here, I pretty much instantly died. And sometimes, even when I got the drop on a guy, Ellie would still stab him normally instead of doing a kill animation. So this took so many deaths. All of these guys were so close together, it was near impossible to get a kill without instantly being shot by another enemy nearby. I struggled for a long time on this until eventually I got 3 kills and the game gave me a checkpoint. But this might be the worst checkpoint I've ever seen. I basically needed to act instantly or I would die. Even if I did act instantly, I still died more often than not. It was almost not even worth using with how bad this start was, but this still helped a little, and after whittling down the enemies even more, I got down to just 2 enemies, and the game pitied me enough to give me another checkpoint, which sealed these guys' fate. After over an hour and 40 minutes on this section, and nearly 2.5 hours in the hospital total, I finally made it through and even cleared the top floor. Now there was only one thing standing in my way. This door. Seriously, Ellie kind of froze and had a seizure here because she couldn't open it. Oh, also Jerry. But luckily, I could stab him. Wait, why is this man doing the half heart hand? So no one's gonna be mad about this? Joel was clearly dead, but I took my ragdoll Joel over to the elevator just to watch the game crash before uninstalling the mod. So Joel could shoot Marlene, and reinstalling so I could end the game with 2 Ellies.
You don't understand.
And that's the end of the game. So, other than these sections, I got through most of it knife only, and I'm pretty proud of myself for killing these 2 bloaters, which was not easy. I hope you guys enjoyed this ridiculous Last of Us mod challenge, and be sure to subscribe to Epic Cakes Gaming if you did. And you can find the entire live stream of my playthrough for this on my channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.